right, welcome to the quick start tutorial for Amazing Grace. What you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to probably print out the sheet music for this and put it on a music stand or something to be able to look at this and look at the video at the same time, or just have both of them open. Specifically, what you want to do is go down, scroll down to pages 12 and 13. That's where the sheet music is, and if you could print that out. Okay, while you're at it, you're probably going to want to print out page 11 as well. That's the flow chart. So if you've got all that done, and you've got your guitar, and your guitar is all tuned up, let's learn this pattern. Here we go. All right, so in the next couple of pages, I have a more detailed approach to learning this song. But if you know how to read the tablature, you know your G, C, and D chords, and you're familiar with the flow chart, or you could read the flow chart, this is really going to be very easy for you. There's only 3 chords in this song, and we're not using a regular G. We're going to be using a 1-finger G chord. What you want to do, hopefully you've printed out this, this sheet music here, page 12 and 13. And at the top of page 12, okay, you could see that we have a measure that has 6, that's the count off. That very first measure is the count off. And where it has the G chord on the top at measure 2, that's where the song starts, okay? Now, if you're holding that G note down, okay, that chord right there, all you really have to know is what fingers are you plucking, okay? Because the tablature is just, it's identical to the chord in this position. We're not changing notes. This is, that chord is going along, and we're you know, there's nothing really to think about. If you could play the chord, then all you really need to know is what strings you're plucking, okay, for this song. So on measure 2, we have the G chord right here. And if you go to page 11, and you look at the right-handed, it says right-hand flow chart for G chord, waltz. It tells you the strings that we're plucking. And it says the same thing on the tablature. So on the flow chart, it says we're picking strings 6. We're holding that G note down, just one string. 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay, why don't you try that with me, okay? 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. If you could play that pattern, then you're pretty much going to be able to get this whole song if you could play the C chord and the D chord as well, because the G chord, the 1-finger G chord, is very easy. 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Try it with me. I hope you have your guitar with you. 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. One thing that I like to, the way that I think about this is an arpeggio that we're playing. We're not playing a chord necessarily. We're playing an arpeggiated chord, it's called, because we're playing individual notes out of the chord, and that's called an arpeggio. So what's interesting about this is we start going this direction. I'll call it down. We start picking down, and then when we get to the second string, we come back up again with our right hand. 6, 4, 3, 2, and then we're going back up. 3, 4. So it's also, it's thumb, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb. So if you go to page 12 here, that G chord happens a lot in this song. If you've got this and you could play this pattern here, and don't worry, we're gonna get into practicing this in detail, then you pretty much have this song. The song is going to be pretty easy for you as long as you know your C and your D chords. Okay, so measure number 2 is really the start of the song. It starts with Amazing Grace, and you don't want me singing. I don't want to ruin your day here, or ruin the lesson, or have you quit playing the guitar because I was singing. But I'm going to accompany myself with playing the melody, some lead guitar along with the fingerstyle to let us know where we're going and everything later on. So on measure 2 right here, you can see that measure 2 and measure 3 are identical, and it's all it is, and I'll call out the strings. This is the easiest way that I would know how to teach this. 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Those are the strings we pluck. So we do that twice in a row, measures 2 and 3. 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 6, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So this is just the quick start. We're going to get into playing the song together, of course, but this is just to teach you the pattern. So we're basically playing, a good way to think about this is we're playing 4 notes going down and then 2 notes coming back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then coming back up. 1, 2. Up this way, down this way. So down, 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 up, up. Okay? That would be the easiest way, if I had to visualize it, playing down and then coming back up again. All right? So 2 measures of the G chord. Then on measure 4, we have the C chord. If you look at the page 11 on the flow chart, the only difference between the, other than playing the C chord that you need to be able to play, the only difference is we're starting a different string. We're starting the 5th string. This is 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So it's exactly like the G chord, okay, the G pattern. It's the same pattern, except we're just plucking one different string. 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Why aren't we plucking 6? Because it would sound like this. That's not the chord for the song. The chord is a C chord. Okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Try it with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's measure 4. Measure 5 is just the G chord again. Measure 5, 6, and 7 is just the G chord again, the one-fingered G chord. Measure 5, measure 6, measure 7. So why don't we do this? Let's just stay on the G chord. I just want to see how you're doing here. I wish I could see you doing this, but you could always write to me and tell me how you're doing with this. Here's a G chord right here, and we're just going to play this over and over again. G chord, one measure over and over again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go even slower. All right, so for practice, you're going to want to go with every chord and either look at the flow chart or the sheet music. Preferably, I would prefer you looking at the sheet music with the tab. This is for the C chord. If you can do the G with your right hand, you should be able to do the C because it's identical, but we're doing starting on a different string. We're starting on the 5th string. 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Measure 7, measure 8 is the D chord. And on the tablature, if you're just forming that D chord, you don't even have to even look at what notes are being played there. You can if you want. Normally you would. But the D chord is playing all of the notes that you need, and you just need to know that there's 6 beats here. The pattern is identical, again, to the D chord, the C chord, except with the right hand, we're moving to another set of strings. We're starting on the 4th string rather than the 5th string. So it's the strings are 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Same thing like we did. Same thing with the D chord. Only starting on the 4th string. So it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Try that with me. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and I'm counting obviously. Same thing, thumb, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb. They're all exactly the same. Every chord is the same with the fingers, with what fingers we're playing with. All right, so in this measures 9 going into 10, this is the most difficult part of the song because in order to play the notes that are on in the sheet music here, we're going to have to do something kind of odd here, okay, in order to get it. But hopefully this will all make sense to you. Now, if you notice on measure 9, I'm just going to go ahead and play measure 9. We have, this is the tab, 0, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Now, what's interesting about this is, or not interesting, but what the fact is about this arpeggio, is our last note is 2 frets up on the 3rd string. And on measure 10, our next note, we've got to get to almost very immediately, the very next note, we've got to get to this G note down here. So if we're going with this ring finger right here, okay, to play this, you could see that that's going to be difficult, or when we go to make that change, something's going to happen. See, that note is not open there. That last note is not open. We don't, in other words, we don't have enough time in between there to make a smooth change. So I'm going to show you a finger picking trick and a guitar trick that it's hopefully this is going to become very common to you. And this is how classical guitar players, great guitar players, make smooth changes. Is what they're able to do is they're able to get from the easiest and the best way to make a smooth sounding chord change is what we're looking for. Okay, so in this regard, this is our last note of the measure 9, and we're going to need to use our middle finger here to make a smooth change. Now let me just show you what I'm talking about. I'll do it real slow. Okay, so that sounded pretty smooth. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping this finger down, making it act as if it's almost an open note that it's ringing out. See what I'm doing? I'm holding that finger down a little longer. I'm taking my fingers off this D chord and keeping this one on here and moving my middle finger to the first, the 3 frets up on the 6th string. And then by the time I have to do, you know, that next measure, which is all open notes, by the time it gets to that note again, that's when I got to take my finger off, okay? So you can see I don't expect you to get that instantly. That's something that you may have to practice a little bit, because what you're doing is you're taking that your middle finger and you're moving it all the way down here, okay? Then it's got to be off then. Right after you play this note, pluck this note, that's when to take this finger off. Sorry. See what I'm doing? So there's another way to do this, and I'm going to show, if you're having difficulty with this, don't worry, I'm going to show you just how to change back. What will happen is the melody will change a little bit, but I'd like you to try this because that's one of the secrets to any good guitar playing, is being able to play a note and change a chord and then make a smooth change. It's all about changing smoothly and keeping in time. Let's go to measure, and we're going to work on this some more. I'm just showing you the finer points of this, the quick start here. Continuing on with measure 10, we have our middle finger 3 frets up on playing the G chord, the G note. And what we're going to want to do when it gets to a measure 11 is we're going to want to change back to playing this G note with our ring finger. And the reason is because measure 12, we have that C chord coming up, and that's going to be easier if we're starting with the G chord to play the C chord in the next measure than pressing our middle finger, than having to do this kind of move, okay? So this move right here is easier, you could see, with our ring finger than it is with our middle finger. Now, there was a very good reason why we needed that middle finger there for measure 10, but measure 11 you're going to want to change back. But it's very easy. Now I'm just going to play measure 10 and 11 back and forth, and I'm going to show you how easy this is just to change fingers in between chords, because there's plenty enough time to do it, okay? Let me try it here for you. So this is 10 and 11. I'm not just going to keep going back and forth between 10 and 11. And I'll start with our middle finger. Try that with me. It's very easy. Let me play really slow. You have plenty enough time to do it. And like I said, it's just for ease of operation. Now, one very important aspect of any kind of guitar playing, and I've said this a bunch of times, you want to prepare yourself to where you have to go. And having the right fingering is going to make things easier with how to play particular chords and what fingers to use, because we want to make it easy to be able to change from one chord to the next. And obviously, if you were playing this right here, somebody wrote into me and said it's easier for me to play it with my index finger, play that easy G chord, the one finger G chord. And I said, no, you really need to learn it with this ring finger here, because then when you advance and you want to play it to C, can you imagine starting from here and then having to go all the way here? That would be a very, very tough move. I mean, it could be done. But there's too much movement. You want to limit your movement and make ease of operation, back and forth. And that's why we went with this middle finger here from the D, just because that's easy to do. Okay, easier than this note. A lot of problems are going to happen trying to do this. Holding this note down and then playing over here. I guess it can be done, but for me, the easiest way would be just to grab that middle finger and go like that. Okay? So, measures 11 to 12, we've done that move already. And we did that in, let me look here. Same thing as measure 3, between 3 and 4. It's just that move. And the rest of this song is identical. We have that same move again where we have to use our middle finger off that D chord to keep that note ringing. And switching back. And then the song repeats itself. Those two little dots at the end of the song with that bar means that it repeats. And it goes back to the repeating bar, which is on bar 2. And I hope that makes sense. So Practice the pattern. Practice the pattern with each chord. And then practice that move going back and forth to the G chord. From the D to the G. Those would be the 4 things you should be practicing. And I will see you in the next video. I'm hoping that you're having some fun here.